Hi, this is Jonathan. I have a couple of questions asking me how I use compressors or how I do my vocal recordings. So I thought I'll just give you a demonstration of how I go about doing it. But do remember that I'm not going to show you everything. It's all about the learning curve. Each one of us have this tendency to take shortcuts. So I encourage you. I will show you how to do it, but I encourage you to try out stuff your way. No one way is a better way. Okay, not one way is a better way. It's up to your own preference, your own hearing preference, as well as to your own favorite music genre. So I'll give you a lowdown on how I use compressors, but experiment away. Don't be afraid. Don't shy away from experimenting. So here we have one of my all-time favorite compressors. This is, of course, the famous TubeTech CL1B. This unit itself will cost thousands of dollars right now these days. In any case, the reason why I'm showing this to you is because I believe the controls are pretty about the same as any other compressors that you have in the market. This, of course, is a plug-in. You can actually procure the real thing, Then again, you got to consider the space, the space factor in your studio, as well as understanding that wear and tear do happen in electronic parts. So, whichever case, this is just your own decision. You have to make it yourself. Okay. So basically, what we have is the gain. I hope you can see the mouse. Yeah, the gain. Well, this will dictate how much signal you have coming into the unit, all right? And then the next one will be the ratio. So this is a 2.1, and then you have, there's no other indications here because the maximum will go up to 10.1. But then, you can probably 2.1, 3.1, whatever, as you go up. So that will dictate how much compression you have applied into your signal, right? Then you have the threshold. Now this is where you set how much squashing that you want to apply, how much you want to squeeze the signal. So this is the threshold that you work on. So this is the input, and then this is what's this, compression, and then the other one is the output. So this meter will show you how much what's going on in each of these stages. Right below, you have the attack, and that's where you decide how much you want the compression to start first. So if you have the least amount, so the compression will just start like that, straight off. And if you have it at a maximum, then the compression will kind of hit it as it goes, so that it doesn't hit you in the face first. It kind of slowly compresses, right? And then you have the release. Now this is exactly the opposite. How do you want the compression to taper off? The earlier, of course, the earlier settings were, the fastest settings were you allow the compression to taper off in the fastest time, and then the lowest one, the highest one would be the longest time of release. This is always good for vocals. Probably most of the time I'll set it around here, and for percussive stuff like drums and maybe tambourine or stuff, I'll put the attack as the most minimal if I can help it, but if for vocals, and if that depends on the genre, if you're gonna see long vocal lines, then I'll probably set the attack probably around mid-range or somewhere around here. But if it's a rap where there's a lot of percussiveness in your vocal delivery, then I'll probably set it faster. All right. And then, of course, you have, what is this? This is I can't see from here. So this allows you to select manual, which I just did just now. And of course, you have the fix where, nothing happens. You can see these two gray knobs. Now, these two knobs have been grayed out. So this is basically a very basic, or rather a more comprehensive controls that you can find in most compressor units, right? On the other hand, this, of course, is the LA2A, right? The famous LA2A. This is a real simpler version, a simpler way to compress your vocals. all you have is the gain and then the peak reduction. So this more or less act like a like the threshold, right? How much you're going to squeeze your signal. And you have over here you have a selection of whether you're compressing your vocal or just limiting your vocal. In the case of limiting, once the vocal hit a certain decibel, it would just bring it down, to an acceptable level, depending on how much you set with the threshold. With your in this case it's called peak reduction. Then over here you have a selection of your output reduction. Okay, so you have plus 10 and then you have plus 4. So most of the time we put it right in the middle, and then we'll adjust accordingly to how it sounds like. Most of it, most of these units are basically very dependent upon how it sounds like when you're recording it or when you're mixing. So some of it doesn't really makes sense because you have some units that have very intricate controls. I'm a very simple person. Maybe I don't think that much, but I try to stay away from too complicated a unit. I love to work with units that are really simple, and which gives me instantaneous result when I tweak the knobs. So this is the way I work through the years. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you don't, feel free to ask your questions in the comment below. Okay, so this is what happens when I record my signal in. So as you can see, the levels are moving. I'm actually recording as I speak. So I'm actually applying a compressor here, which is the many voice blocks, which of course it's a bit complicated because it's actually a three or more functions in one unit itself. So you have the compressors, you have the equalization, and then you have the deesser. So this might be a bit complicated for some of you, but for those who know what I'm talking about, this is really useful for vocal recording because there's so much things you can do at the recording stage. There's so much that you can tweak before you commit it to tape. So if you don't want to use this, then of course you can use one of these above mentioned compressors, right? So you can probably get by with getting a good signal to be committed to tape, right? And basically, what I have here is what you will probably do in your console or in your interface if you are recording it. Having a line being connected to your interface. Some of you might not be using a unit such as this, so you'll probably be using a Audio 6 or even a Line 6 or some other Behringer interfaces. In that case, you have to find a way to hook up your unit to a compressor, a live compressor, meaning a real world compressor. There are many in the market, so take a look. They're quite affordable for some of them. But then again, as you understand, that you pay for what you get. So the more expensive the unit, well, you probably get more transient compression. There are compressors like Joe Meek, which will color the sound drastically. But those are really pretty good because if you want to get that vintage kind of sound, then it'll work. The Focusrite, some of them have really nice compressors. So, you have to go down to the shop, ask the people who works there who know better, ask for their advice, and decide for yourself which unit to get. Work within your budget if you're starting because you don't want to splurge like two or 3,000 on a compressor unit. So work on your budget and learn how to use compressors. And if you get by with what you have, and then it'll be time to think about investing in a better unit. We tend to work with compressors a lot because even for guitar recording, so you have a manageable audio signal coming into your DAW or to your tape, and then you can enhance it further by recompressing it during mixing, to compress it even more. But at least you have a good signal to work with. So that's the whole idea. So I hope you can see what is happening here. I'm going to turn off everything right now. Okay, this is how it sounds like without any compression. This is just strictly your mic cable to your interface, so there's no compression whatsoever, right? Now, normally I would put in a preamp in my case because I can do this. But if you don't have a preamp, then you can skip this procedure. But for those who have preamps, you might just want to have a look at this. In this case, I'm using the NEF 1073 preamp. I've used this in real life, so I know about the characteristic of this unit. So if I have it engaged, you can probably tell the difference of my vocal right now. So this is without it being engaged, and this is with it being engaged. Now, of course, you can hear it being a bit louder. That's because I've adjusted my gain level. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit so that I can have it balance with, no, this is too soft. So I'm going to bring it up again. Okay, so this is without, and this is with. Now you can hear a whole lot of changes. The highs are a little bit more transient. In this case, you have the EQs, which I have left flat. I do not like to EQ too much when I'm recording vocals. So in this case, I have 3 bands here: the high frequencies, the mid and mid to high. You can go as far as 7.2 kilohertz. And you can go as low for the low up to 35 hertz, something like that. Right? So you can, these are shelving types of EQ, so you can actually decide how you want to shape your vocals if you need to. In this case, this is my favorite part. This is the high cut filter or the low pass in the low cut. But basically, this rolls off the lower frequency, the rumble, the rumble that might be picked up by the mic in the room. So I have it set at 80 hertz. So anything below 80 hertz will be cut off. So it's good for vocal recording, especially when you want to have your vocals really clean. And it's so vital for acoustic guitar when you're recording acoustic guitar, because you do not want too much of a rumble, especially for jumble bodies. There's too much bass to jumble up to color your sound, and you just want to have a low cut here, so that you will not have all this rumbling. Now, of course, here you have the high and low gain structure of your mic, and then of course you can apply pad if your mic is too hot, right? So I hope you understand this part. So if you do not have a preamp, okay, then we'll just turn it off. Okay, so this is without the preamp. Okay, so this is a compressor, right? So I have it disabled right now. So if I were to turn it on, you can probably hear the difference, but if not, it's very slight, because I have it at 2.1 ratio. But if I were to turn it up a bit more, you can tell that it's beginning to compress a whole lot more. And I'll probably set it at 2.1 around here. And this is the threshold. This is where the magic happens. So watch out for the meter here. As I bring it up, you can hear that there's noise reduction. It gets really soft. So it's kind of squeezing down the high output, the high gain of my voice. As I sing louder, it'll pull me down, right? So even if I shout, there's still a very acceptable level, because this is a threshold that I'm adjusting, right? This threshold I'm adjusting is actually pulling down, squeezing down the high output gain that I'm creating with my voice. So most of the time I had it set by looking at a meter where I can hear also that my vocal is kind of like balanced in a way. So there's not too much of a drastic change in volume, right? And of course the release now, if the attack, of course, as I said earlier, if you are into rap, then you will probably have it in the fastest attack. So everything will be percussive, everything will be percussive, right? And if you're just doing normal vocals, I usually say in the middle. And then the release is where you want to have it compress really slowly. So if I would put it really slow, you can see that the meter is taking its own sweet time and coming up. Testing 1 2 1 2. You can tell that it's still compressing even as I sustain a note. But if I put it really fast, you actually can't hear a difference much. Testing 1, 2, like as if there's no compression happening. So I'll probably say like in the middle or maybe around 1 o'clock so that I can still have little nuances at the tail end of my note being pushed up in a way. Right? So yeah, I hope you get what I'm trying to tell you, because it's really kind of complicated, because if you're not face to face with me, you probably have a hard time grasping what I'm trying to say. Got on board a westbound 747. Didn't think before decided what to do. Oh, there's talk of opportunities. TV breaks and movies rang true. Sure rang true. Compressor on. Got on board a westbound 747. Didn't think before decided what to do. Oh, there's talk of opportunities, TV breaks and movies, but it's true, sure ain't true. Now the thing about recording with a microphone, it takes a certain skill. Or as I'm recording myself, I'm the engineer and the singer sometimes. Now, what you want to have is a microphone, a good microphone, for vocals, a big diaphragm mic, and a pop filter, So the pop filter is really, really important. In this case, because my pop filter is kind of malfunctioning, the ideal precision of a pop filter would be somewhere around finger's length from the microphone diaphragm. That would be the ideal, distance. And then you can actually sing it real close if you want to. But in this case, my pop filter is giving me a bit of a hassle, so I'm just hooking up here, right? And and I'll have to judge, through my headphones as to how much pop am I putting into the microphone. Now, of course, equipment does matter. A good mic, a good pair of headphones, because if you have headphones that are not adequate, you will not know what you are recording. So it's not the same after you take off your headphones. When you take out your headphones and then when you hear it through your speakers, it's it's a two different thing. So these are investments that is worth paying the money for, a good pair of headphones. Professional studio headphones, and as you record, of course, there are singers who are so dynamic that they will shout at the mic, which in this case you have to go further back. So when you're shouting, I can still pick you up, right? Because you are so loud. But if you're the kind of singer that is really sensitive, you would know how to use your vocal, or rather your vocal skill, to the extent where it becomes a built-in compressor in your throat. You will know how to control how loud you want to put forth your lines vocally, and when you're sustaining, whether you have the stamina to keep up that note, and how you want to do crescendos with your breath, with your stamina, how long can you hold a note, and how much power you put into a verse, a delivery, a phrase. How much power are you going to put in? How much do you have in control? There are great singers who control their vocals so well that they get the message across, and they're not shouting. But I've seen good singers, great soul singers who are so loud because they're just naturally loud, so they will have to stand back a little bit, or I'll bring down the gain of the microphone. I'll pad it probably. I'll probably pad the microphone, and so they can be comfortable knowing that the mic is in front of them, because some singers are not comfortable because they are so far away from the mic, and which is bad also because the mic picks up the room. So you don't want your singer to be too far away from your mic. So it's good to know your gain structure of your vocalist, or if you're recording yourself, how loud can you get, in this song. And if you need to adjust the volume individually through your gains or through your compressor output, input, you have input gain, and how much you want to compress your vocals. So compressors are really important in this aspect, right? So I think that's about it, So I hope you understand what the heck am I talking about all this time. I sure hope you do understand, and I hope that you get something from this. Especially the brother who asked me this question because he's in a band and he doesn't know how to compress vocals and stuff like that. So I hope this helped. Like I said before, work within your budget. Don't spend too much on high-end stuff. If you can't afford it, get workable stuff and then learn from there. And in the long run, as you get more money coming in, then you can think about investing into more professional equipment. Right. So I hope this video helps you. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you are new, welcome. And if you want to join the channel, subscribe, and press that bell so that you'll be notified every time a new video is out. So until next time, ciao.